You know, anytime a person tells you repeatedly that they're not afraid of something, one thing you can be assured is they're afraid of it.
Who says that? How? What kind of statement is that? I don't understand that. It's a rainy day in Boston. I am not a lawyer. I am not an expert in law, but I am a very curious human being and very passionate about certain things, and I usually post them on my YouTube channel. And one thing I've been passionate about is the Karen Read trial in Boston, Massachusetts, actually Canton, Massachusetts. And this video really surprised me from Court TV. It really did. And I had to make a video. So let's react to this right now. And by the way, wait till it hits you. Wait till it happens. This is crazy, this video.
To continue to deliberate would be futile and only serve to force us to compromise these deeply held beliefs. I'm not going to do that to you folks. Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial in this case. I'll be in to see you privately in a few minutes. So thank you so much for your service.
Okay, I just want to quickly say, look, read the title of the video. Just quickly read the title. Karen Read, poor decisions led to John O'Keefe's death. Interesting, isn't it? Now, I didn't really read the title when I watched it, because Court TV is usually pro Karen Read, hint, hint.
That was the end of round one in the Karen Read saga. Round two, the retrial is fast approaching in April.
Language, round one, round two, boxing, fighting.
The polarizing defendant still believes that...
The polarizing defendant. Yeah, I don't really see too much polarization. Yeah, there is some, but I would say it's not even.
Framed and is not backing down from those claims. Charged with second-degree murder of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, Read made many more statements in a new interview with Boston 25 News.
I'm not afraid of taking the stand, and I'm clearly not afraid of speaking, but they're playing hardball. So we'll weigh the pros and cons, and we'll make another second game time decision.
Who would you rather face? Is it Adam Lally, who we saw in the first trial, or is it Hank Brennan?
I don't care who I face. I have the truth. I have the best attorneys.
So right now it just feels so pro Karen, right? It just feels so good, right? Except for the title. So far, so good, huh? Feels pretty pro Karen here.
Do your worst.
Read, of course, you heard her say she's not afraid to take the stand. She's very involved in her defense. That is very clear, and she talks about it in this interview, how, you know, if some discovery comes in, boom, they're all in. They
all good,
divide
right?
and conquer. She is
all good,
as
all
involved
good.
in a defense
Like,
as you could be.
As a listener, I'm all in, right? I'm all in this right now. I'm loving Karen, and I believe that the evidence does not prove her guilty, and that's what has to happen.
She also had this to say in this interview with Ted Daniel with Boston 25 about John O'Keefe's family sitting inches away from her in the courtroom.
But all of this is nothing. I mean, this is all nothing. What are they telling us so far?
Feel the presence of the O'Keefe family behind you in court.
I honestly, I almost look through them. Paul sitting there doesn't impact me. It doesn't bother me. That's John's brother.
Just wait.
They've attempted to send me messages, and as soon as I see the name comes up, I just delete it.
Let's talk about it with the former head of the homicide unit in Norfolk County, Massachusetts, Mr. Richard Grundy. Good morning, sir. What's your take on Karen Read?
Stop. What's this guy's job? Head of the homicide? So he's a cop. Okay. Just want to be clear that this is a police officer. Okay.
This new interview doing more talking as we see the retrial approaching very soon in April.
Well, good morning, Ted. I think this is just picking up kind of where they left off, or never really left off. There was certainly a trickle of it since the end of the first trial up until now. And that is to try the case in public. You know, anytime a person tells you repeatedly that they're not afraid of something, one thing you can be assured is they're afraid of it.
Who says that? What kind of statement is that? I don't understand that. Right? It's so interesting to me.
think it's going to be to their interests. And I don't think at this point in time, certainly Karen Reed has any intention of testifying. If she didn't want to testify
Wrong.
when Adam Lally was prosecuting
Wrong.
the case, she certainly doesn't want to
Wrong.
testify when Hank Brennan.
Wrong. So she's said in interviews that she's willing to testify anytime her lawyers want her to testify. Her lawyers are driving the boat. They're driving the vehicle. She's a passenger here. It's up to the lawyers. They have a plan. They have a whole, trajectory, and whether they want her, it's all strategic. And so Karen is willing to speak out. That's incorrect. That is incorrect.
Trying the case. So this is, I think, when we hear of jury sullying or tampering, we think more of a Sopranos type
This is
thing
good.
where a juror gets visited at his place of work or on the way to his parked car. But just disseminating your plea of not guilty and outrage at the prosecution and summoning in the federal involvement in the investigation of this case repetitively, as we've seen when a case has this kind of media attention, gets to people. And that's kind of what led to that first trial being so, I believe.
So you're catching what he's saying? He's saying all this media attention about Karen being innocent is affecting everyone.
Out of focus because everybody was responding to what the defendants had put out there publicly, not necessarily in the courtroom.
Here's a little bit.
But what do you think he's doing right now? Right now, he's doing the exact same thing in the opposite way. That's all. He's doing the exact same thing. He's posting online just like everyone else. He's getting on the news, and he's saying basically that Karen is guilty, basically. And he's poisoning the jury pool in the opposite way. So if he thinks that Karen's, notoriety and Karen's social media attention is affecting people, well, what is he doing right now?
What Karen told Boston 25 about John O'Keefe specifically, she said, I have very mixed feelings, when I look back on John, because I see a lot of poor decisions that were all precursors to his death.
I knew they were going to twist this. I knew this line would be twisted.
He was near the road and he was dying.
Thus the clickbait title, by the way, of the video, of their video.
I didn't think he was purposely put in that place at the time. This is about the federal case. She said the federal materials included a report that said there wasn't a car accident. That's 95% of this case. It wasn't just inconsistent. It was diametrically opposed to the Commonwealth's theory of the case. Richard, this case was a hung jury, and depending on the reporting on what the split was, it seemed. I mean, there's 10-2 was thrown out there. Even reports that the jury was unanimous in the top charge, that they agreed she was not guilty. You add Michael Proctor into the mix, the despicable behavior that he had. Are you surprised the Commonwealth is coming back at her with such zeal, going out, getting Hank Brennan? And it just seems to be just real rancor here between a defendant and a government institution.
Am I surprised? No, I'm not. I think, it was patently obvious. This is not a problem unique to Massachusetts, and my titling it a problem, but district attorneys are elected officials. We have not had a person who has a significant background or as a trial lawyer elected to the position of district attorney. So I think the layers of the onion were peeled away during that first trial, and it was exposed that the Commonwealth did a poor job.
Oh, so they're saying they didn't have a trial lawyer the first time, so that's why they didn't do a good job. Okay, so they didn't have the right lawyers. No, you can't shine a turd. You can't polish a turd. If there's nothing to work with, I mean, I feel bad for the prosecution. I mean, what do they have to work with?
Despite the result that I think many people were expecting to go other ways.
Whoa.
So I think
many people. Well, I guess that's a fair assessment, right? He said many people were expecting her to be guilty.
They kind of are tightened their belt and said, look, we did not put forth our best foot, and we need to do that. And they feel that they've found a better path to do so. You know, in addition to
So they
this
want a second-
individual
they want a
case,
second try.
people within the district attorney's office are looking at their own reputations, their own futures, political and otherwise. So I'm not surprised that this is going on. And we're seeing little things like the idea that their phone forensics, the defense's phone forensic expert, was not challenged at all with respect to his qualifications in the first trial is a huge red flag. Any trial lawyer will tell you.
Yeah. That said,
Yeah.
Judge Cannone is allowing
Many
the dog
things.
bite expert back in.
Yeah.
Commonwealth wanted her, that
So many things
expert
they didn't
bounced,
do,
and the
prosecution,
cell
they could
phone
have done.
expert from the defense that, you know, was the one opinion saying that that search for how long does it die in the cold was done at 2 in the morning. The fact that this stuff's coming back in, you know, you can fire Trooper Proctor or do whatever. He's coming back in some level, obviously, in what he did.
Ugh.
Why is it that the Commonwealth thinks that just hiring a former mob attorney is going to turn this case around and oh, we're going to win this time because Hank Brennan's going to save us just like he did
What's
when
this guy going to say
which
now?
he didn't.
God, what a weird interview. What a weird back and forth. I can't figure this out at all. You know what I mean? Like, I can't figure out. Yeah, I don't have YouTube Premium right now. Don't ask me why. I can't figure that out.
Maybe the answer to that, Ted, is hope springs eternally. But again, I think they needed a stronger, more experienced foot placed forward, and apparently didn't believe that they could find that within their own office. And again,
That's a shame.
I think, you know, my perspective of
From what I heard, it's that no lawyer in the prosecution office wanted to touch it. But that's what I heard. Let me know if you think that's true. By the way, these are all my opinions, and I don't know shit from a Shinola, so feel free to comment and disagree all you want, because I'm okay with that. And by the way, there are other great YouTube channels that cover this. The Lawyer You Know, Emily Baker, Brother Counsel, Alex's Room, REWM, Nan, Craig, what's that guy? There's some really good, and of course Turtle Boy.
is that after making so many errant moves in that first trial, juries tend to get it. And in this case, it seemed that they got it, that Karen Reed was behind the wheel that struck the victim here, leading to his death. That is the other side of that coin.
What?
Fabianetti's opening statement.
Wait, I gotta go back. What did he just say? Did he just say, sorry, my mouse.
It seemed that they got it, that Karen Reed was behind the wheel that struck the victim here, leading to his death. That is
I
the
don't
other side of
understand
that
how
coin.
he could say that. Am I misunderstanding something?
Fabianetti's opening statement and Karen's
I must be missing something here.
that I am being framed. They rejected that. The majority of the jury rejected that, even if we take into consideration.
It's not Karen or the attorney's job to prove who did it. That's why they didn't spend time on who framed her. Their job is not to do anything. The prosecution has to prove that she did it, right? Without with an unreasonable doubt, right? The jury has to agree with that she did it. The defense does not have to say who did it at all. They can know. They can know who framed her. It's not important, and that's why, of course, why would they waste their time on that? That's not. Karen is not on trial for that. She doesn't have to prove anything.
What they supposedly unanimously reached a verdict on. So I think,
So do you think to that
what they
point,
saw there, that even if we take into consideration what they supposedly unanimously reached a verdict on.
Okay,
So
supposedly
I think
unanimously.
To that
what they
point,
saw there.
Nice one.
Richard, do you think to that point that the defense is maybe Because I agree with you. The idea, it's one thing to
You agree with
defend your
him?
client and
Please.
say that we don't know what happened, and that's there's reasonable doubt. It's reasonable doubt she's not
Reasonable
guilty. They have a
doubt.
clear path to there. But they
Come
could
on.
make people really judge their case, and their case is pretty hard to completely take in and believe 100% that a lot of people are involved in a conspiracy to frame this woman, where, you know, no one really knows what happened there.
Okay, stop. It's unbelievable. You're right. It almost points more likely that she's the one who did it, except there's no evidence that shows that, no obvious evidence. So therefore, if you take away that, what else is left? All right? And as crazy as it sounds, this is what we're left with. We're left with a very interesting set of a million coincidences and weird happenstances on the all the people involved. You know who they are.
Maybe she hit him and he didn't, you know, he was knocked out or something, and then maybe the snowplow got him. Maybe all these maybes, that works to the defense.
They don't have to. Once again, they don't have. They could. The defense said in their opening she was framed, and then they left that. They left that to be. They never touched it again, did they? They left it there because that's not their job. They might know. They might not know. That's not their case to solve. They have to just prove her in it. They have to just know that she's innocent and have the truth.
But when you're saying, listen, jury, the Commonwealth is after my client, they conspired to frame her, that's a pretty big bar. That's a pretty big mountain to climb. Is it an error, in your opinion, for them to come back with the same zeal in round 2 that they had in round 1, basically saying the Commonwealth is after her?
I watched the whole trial. It was never an assumption, or even, they never mentioned that Commonwealth was after her. They never mentioned that. So stop this, man.
So one of the things that I think was really striking is that
By the way, I find it quite irony and quite coincidental that this guy's connection is fucked up.
year of this media drumbeat as to this frame up and all the evidence that they were going to bring forth of the house being sold, the house being ripped apart, evidence being disposed of, we find out that the only experts they have were provided through the federal investigation. They were not prepared on their own to present any of those. The dog bite expert was sitting in California in her Barco lounge
Who
watching
cares?
the trial.
Who cares where she was
when
sitting?
She came forward.
Who cares?
They were not prepared for the defense that they put forth. And yes, anytime a defense attorney steps up in front of the jury and says, I am going to prove to you, you lose a portion of that reasonable doubt and it becomes a 50-50, pick a story, which one seems more likely.
Yeah, which could be a risk. We'll see.
Guys,
You know,
I love you folks. Listen, if you like this kind of thing, I do a lot of random stuff. I've never made a video like this before to a trial, but I do watch trials every day. If you like this kind of shit, you want to subscribe or at least just consider commenting and let me know how I did. That's all I want to know. Have an amazing day. You are a successful human. I love you. Bye-bye.